Hi, and welcome to this video on learning different techniques of how to subset a data frame. Hi, I'm Raghavendra, an expert in AI, ML, and data engineering. By the end of this video, you will be learning different techniques to subset a data frame. Let's first import the pandas library. So we're going to take a dictionary of keys, student ID, name, marks in Python, and marks in statistics. And I have a list of values of uniform length for each of these keys. So I'm going to pass this dictionary as an argument to pd.dataframe method. That's going to create a data frame. Let's execute this. So we have our structured tabular data called as the data frame ready with us. And let's now learn the different techniques of how we can subset this data frame. The first technique that we'll be learning is to subset the data frame as an array using its positional values of row and column indexes. Certain use cases, certain mathematical use cases would require the data frame to be subset as an array. So we would need the array to be available to perform some mathematical operations. So in those scenarios, we would need to subset the data frame as an array. So dot values is the property on the data frame which is going to fetch the data frame as an array. So let's run this gb.values. So you're going to output the entire data frame as an array. So it's going to be an array of type object, and these are all the values. This is something similar to a matrix here, and these are all the different values which we have. So like how we subset an array, we can as well subset the data frame when converted to an array. So gb.values, we get an array, and we are going to subset the array. So we are going to take all the rows here. That's the colon which indicates that, comma, we are going to extract or we are going to slice the second and the third columns alone, where we would be extracting the two marks of the students in two different subjects, and that is what you're going to get here. So you're going to have the marks of the two subjects, and we're going to extract that as an array. It's going to be a two-dimensional array, which is nothing but a matrix, and that's what we have done over here. Next, what we are doing is we are again extracting the data frame as an array, and we are fetching all the rows, but we are only extracting columns with index 1 and index 3. I supply that as a list of column indexes, and I'm going to extract them. So column at index 1 and column at index 3 are going to be extracted, and I want all the rows. So that's what this colon is going to signify. So here I'm extracting name and marks in one of the subjects. I'm extracting it as a two-dimensional array. So this code over here is going to subset the data frame as an array by fetching all the rows pertaining to one single column, that is the column at index 1. So I'm extracting the name. A single column gets extracted as a one-dimensional array. So gb.values, I'm not interested in all the rows. In all the previous examples, you saw just a colon being put over there, indicating you want all the rows. Colon 3, you want the first three values of the column at index 1. I don't want it as a one-dimensional array. I would want to reshape it as a column matrix. So hence I say reshape of -1, 1. Yep. So you have the names of the first three students being extracted as a column matrix. So this is how you can extract or you can subset a data frame as an array. Moving on further, we will see how we can subset a data frame as a pandas object using positional values of row and column indexes. So this would be useful at scenarios where we don't have any specific column names available to us. In the absence of column names like student name, marks, and so on, positional values like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on would be assigned to the column names. So gb.iloc is what is going to extract or going to subset a data frame as a pandas data frame object or a pandas series object. So gb.iloc, I'm going to fetch all the rows and I'm going to extract only one column at index 1. So I'm going to extract only the name column as a pandas series object. The next code here is going to extract only the first row as a pandas series object. Yep. So you have all the values of the first row, being extracted. So then I can say gb.iloc is going to extract you all the rows, and I'm only extracting column at index 1 and index 2. So I'm going to get the name column, which is the column at index 1, and the marks in Python, which is the column at index 2. So these two columns are going to be extracted as a data frame object. So far we have seen how to extract or how to subset a data frame as an array, how to subset a data frame using positional values as a pandas object, either as a series or as a data frame. Next, we are going to learn how are we going to subset a pandas data frame by specifying the column names or column labels. So gb of name, within the subscript, if I specify the column name, so it's going to extract the column name. So I'm going to get the names of all the students. Instead of using a subscript, I can even use a dot operator. gb.name is going to give me all the values in the name column. Suppose if I want to extract both the student name and the student ID, so within the subscript, I have to specify these column names as a list of values. So student ID, student name as a list within the subscript. Suppose I want to get the name and marks in Python. I'm going to specify these column names as a list within the subscript to be subset, right? So this is how you are going to subset the data frame, by using the column names or column labels. Next, we are going to move on in subsetting a pandas data frame as a pandas object using row indexes or row labels. Note, rows are by default having indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. We'll also learn to create some row labels, and we'll try to subset the data frame here. So to access the first row, so .loc is the property of a data frame which is going to let us access using the row indexes or the row labels. So gb.loc, and I'm going to specify a number over here. Anything supplied within the subscript while using the property .loc is going to allow us to access the data frame using row index. So please don't get confused. This is not, 0 is not reference to the first column. It is the reference to the first row, because I have a property .loc over here. gb.loc of 0 is going to give me the first row as a series object. So what does this do? gb.loc is going to let me subset the data frame by specifying row indexes or row labels. So whatever follows within the subscript are reference to the row index. So I'm going to specify a list of row indexes 0, 3, rows at index 0 and row at index 3. So these are the two rows which I'm going to get as a data frame object. So now, so far we had all indexes for rows as 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's create a named index or a label to the row indexes. So for that, I'm going to use the method gb.setIndex. So for this gb data frame, I'm going to create an index using this method gb.setIndex. I'm going to use this name column to act as an index, and I would want this index to be permanently reflecting into the data frame. So I set in place is equal to true. In the absence of this in place argument, what happens is that the change what we are performing here, that is creating the name column as a row index, is going to be affected on a copy of the data frame which is going to be just displayed on the screen. But now when I say in place is equal to true, it is going to affect this referencing data frame, that is GB. Now let's check GB. Yep, which earlier had row indexes as 0, 1, 2, 3. Now it is being labeled as Shubham, Karan, Jebin, and Prithvi. These are the different names of the students. They are now my row labels. So now when I say gb.index, which I used to get as a list of numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, now let's see what do I get. I'm going to get these names of the students acting as row labels. I can say gb.lock, I can now specify Shubham. That is, I have a label given to the row. I want to fetch the row for student Shubham. Right? So this is what I am going to get. His marks, student ID, marks in Python, and marks in statistics. So gb.lock, I want for multiple rows to be fetched for row labels Shubham as well as for Prithvi. So I have it over here, right? So I'm going to fetch 2 rows and the output is a data frame object. So row labels can be created using set_index. So you want to remove that, you can say gb.reset_index. I say again in place is equal to true. It gets reflected or updated into the original data frame which we are referring. And now the row indexes are gone. So we have our back positional indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So I'm going to list it out. Now what are the indexes? It's going to be numbers again 0, 1, 2, 3. Great. We have seen how to subset a data frame by specifying row labels or row indexes. The last technique, a very important one, is to specify a condition to subset the rows of a data frame. So I'm going to specify a condition gb.marksPython greater than 70. It's going to give me a Boolean set of values as a Panda series. So true at places wherever marks in Python is greater than 70, false at places which does not satisfy this condition, marks in Python greater than 70. I can put this condition inside the subscript like the way we did for a NumPy array or a Panda series, gb.marksPython greater than 70. It's going to get me all the rows of my data frame. It's going to give me all the rows and columns of the data frame which is going to satisfy this condition where marks is greater than 70. So I have filtered out rows and I have fetched all the columns where the condition marks in Python is greater than 70. And here are the key takeaways. iLock on a data frame subsets a data frame as a pandas object by specifying row and column indexes. LOC or lock on a data frame subsets the data frame as a pandas object by specifying row indexes or row labels. Data frames can be subset by specifying a condition on the column within the subscript, that is the square bracket. df.values subsets the data frame as an array. Thank you.